Why does someone join the armed forces? To don the cloth of the Republic. Good evening, my friends. This is Sebastian Gorka in for Grant Stinchfield. The military in America used to be about serving something larger than yourself, about the camaraderie of the brotherhood that is the finest fighting machine in the world. In the past, you remember those recruiting posters of Uncle Sam wanting to recruit you for the U.S. Army. You remember the Rosie the Riveter posters with her bulging muscles doing something for those who are serving overseas. Well, forget that. You can chuck that in the trash can. The U.S. Army has just released a cartoon recruitment video which ends with a corporal in the U.S. Army telling us why she joined. This is Biden's woke military.
It begins in California with a little girl raised by two moms. Although I had a fairly typical childhood, took ballet, played violin, I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age.
Really? Is that what serving in the military is about? Is it about me, and political ideological clauses? Well, let's listen as to who is actually talking in this recruitment ad.
I needed my own adventures, my own challenge. And after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it. A way to prove my inner strength and maybe shatter some stereotypes along the way. I'm U.S. Army Corporal Emma Malone Lord, and I answered my calling.
Well, Emma Malone Lord, you're a disgrace to what it means to serve in the military at any rank. Because that video, if you wrote it, if it's really your true sentiment, was all about you, your adventures, your personal lifestyle choices, and your political agenda. That has nothing to do with serving in the military. When you joined the military, I served in the British Reserve military. It was about serving something greater than myself. It was about facing down threats, and it was about not me, it was about my country. So how did we get here? That's actually an official propaganda product of the US military. Well, now we know. We have a kind of whistleblower. We have a very brave Lieutenant Colonel, Matt Lohmeyer, who was interviewed by Newsmax about what he witnessed as part of Donald Trump's Space Command, the new training materials that the Biden administration is forcing upon our brave warfighters.
In preparation for some of our diversity and inclusion training or our discussions on race, one of the things that we've been asked to do is watch videos that I personally consider anti-American. They're based on premises that are outlined in the New York Times 1619 Project, which insists that our country is evil. And I reject that. People are being trained that certain groups are oppressors and others are oppressed. That's when it's time to speak up and identify, as the Secretary of Defense invited us to do, extremist ideological views that are divisive.
What an outrage. That America is the problem, that we are evil. There is no way that a fighting force can do its job if they are told we are the enemy, that the nation you swore to protect is the problem. And this isn't an outlier. This isn't one brave individual. It started at the very top. In the US Navy, there's an individual, an admiral, who bears the rank of, or bears the title of CNO, Chief of Naval Operations. He has one job and one job alone: to make sure that our Navy, our sailors, our corpsmen are in fit, peak condition with the training, with the plans to crush our enemies. End of story. Right now, the CNO is an admiral who likewise is a disgrace to his uniform, who took time out to record a video he sent out to the whole fleet about what he thinks about America and the men and women he is meant to serve.
But over the past week, after you watch what's going on, we can't be under any illusions about the fact that racism is alive and well in our country. And I can't be under any illusions that we don't have it in our Navy.
What are you talking about? And how dare you sit there in Navy combats, your fatigues that you are meant to go to war in, Admiral Gilday, and lecture Americans about how we are racist and about racism in the US Navy just so you can score points with Black Lives Matter or your new woke boss, a boss who chose a retired general who by constitutional code should never have been nominated to the position of Secretary of Defense because he had too recently retired from the US military. But that didn't matter. In fact, this individual was approved in his nomination by most Republicans as well. Yes, that's how bad the situation is. Who is this man? This individual, Lloyd Austin, is the new Biden cabinet member responsible for all of our armed forces. And this individual who has instigated the wokeification of the US military had this to say on the floor of the Senate in his confirmation hearing.
The job of the Department of Defense is to keep America safe from our enemies. But we can't do that if some of those enemies lie within our own ranks.
Enemies within our own ranks? The word enemy in a military context is used for one thing and one thing alone, solely to target and identify those who must be destroyed with kinetic force. Secretary of Defense Austin, are you talking about targeting and killing members of the US military? He ordered a 60-day stand down. For what purpose? To make sure that we could fight the Chinese, to prepare for some impending engagement with Russia in Europe, or perhaps a nuclear Iran going rogue? No, to search for extremists in the US military. And I assure you, it's not members or supporters of BLM, it's not supporters of Antifa. This is the pre-purge of our military. And just today, the most shocking of all. The Intercept, which really isn't a right-wing publication, on the contrary, accessed materials from the Pentagon, confirmed by an anonymous source, that the US administration under Biden will be constantly surveilling the social media posts of our serving military warfighters. But because it's illegal to do so based upon the First Amendment, they will be using private companies. Yes, private companies to spy on those who risk everything for this nation. This is personal for me, my friends. After September the 11th, my life changed. I was invited by an amazing Marine to teach for the US military and ended up, to this day, serving as a guest instructor, not only with the brave men here you see at Fort Bragg, but across the military to help them understand our enemies. But I never thought that they would be told that the enemies they're looking for may be sitting next to them in the classroom, on the exercise, or in the battlefield. We are less than 3 months into the Biden administration, and they are sabotaging the greatest fighting force the world has ever seen, and it's time to speak up. One lieutenant colonel is not enough. If you're a member of the military and you are seeing this influence of Marxist ideology, then you need to be as brave as Lieutenant Colonel Lohmeyer.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.